Welcome back to Discover the Continent. My name is Samson Watimi, and this is episode one of a series that we're doing, and that series is called Discovering the Continent, of course, and that's embedded within, the company is called Discover the Continent, and within that we are going to discover different things. And we're also going to discover different places as well. Of course, we are focusing on Lagos. But since this is episode one, I'm going to tell you a bit about myself. Who am I apart from Samson Watimi? Like, what do I do? Where do I come from? Did I just drop out the sky? Who am I? So we're going to cover that, but we're also going to cover just the context of why Discover the Continent exists, and what triggered me to bring it about, and the story behind it all as well. First of all, back to myself of who am I? So I'm Samson Watimi, and for about 12 and a half years, I was the guest experience supervisor, which is the duty manager. And I was also the front of house manager at the O2 Arena as well. So 12 and a half years at the O2 Arena as an events manager, basically. And that's under the Department of the Venue Operations and Guest Experience. So I've got a whole bunch of knowledge and experience on guests and entertainment. And what I feel that everyone who comes from Africa should do is get your knowledge and experience in the West and bring it back to develop Africa. That's what I feel. And so that's exactly what I'm doing, putting my actions before my mouth, putting my thoughts into actions, basically. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And at the moment, I also work at Wembley Stadium as well. So I've got a whole bunch of things that I feel that I can bring to contribute to Africa. And I am originally from Nigeria. That's where I'm from. That's where both my parents are from, and that's where I am from once again. I went to school in Lagos, Nigeria for around 2 years. And that's basically, I did year seven and I did year eight. The whole of year seven, the whole of year eight in Lagos, Nigeria. For those of you in Nigeria, so basically I did GSS 1 and GSS 2. They call it different things, basically. But that's what I did there. Then I came back and just continued being born and bred over here. So that's who I am. 12 and a half years, O2 Arena, and I am currently working at Wembley Stadium as well. So I'm an events guy, you could say that. I did events in university as well, like just by myself and with the help of my friends. But those concepts, I made money out of it, some good money as well. Like the most I've made in a day from an event in university when I was what was that? I was 20 years old slash 21 years old. The most I made in a day was like 315, 300 and something, 315, 330 something. But that 300 mark, anyway, that's the most I made in a day at 20 years old, 20 slash 21 years old for one of my events. So I'm an events guy, but I don't know. For me, I'm also, to put it deeper, I and I'm gonna sit forward a bit. I feel more like I'm being more, personal with you. Um, the what I'm an events guy, but really I like manipulating how people feel. I like to create things, create spaces, create environments, and I like people to feel a certain way. And you can do that in an environment. You could do that in an environment, and you could do it with music. You could do that with food. You could do that with an experience, entertainment, and I think that's where I could do a lot of things. But if we're talking about events, that's where I come in, and so that's who I am. And like I said, all my skills and experience, I want to bring it to Africa. And of course, we've discovered a continent. I'll be bringing that first to Lagos, and then God willing, we'll expand as we go along. So that's myself. And now, what is Discover the Continent? Well, back in 2018, my friend from university, he's from South Africa. He was born and bred there. He only came to London for secondary school. If you're in America, high school, right? But he came to London for secondary school, did that, did university, and then he went back to Johannesburg, which is where he's from. And for the longest, after university, for years, he told me, "Come over, such a good time. It's this, it's that, it's great." And although I believed him, I was also apprehensive because of all the negative things that I had heard about Johannesburg, South Africa, and of course Africa. Growing up in the West, you get marketed your perception of Africa, which is not a good thing, but you get marketed your perception of Africa. And so, although that influenced me, I knew better. So I knew that, okay, I'm definitely gonna come over. And finally in 2018, I did. And honestly, I was still very apprehensive. So, I stayed at a hotel. The hotel was attached to a beautiful mall in Sandton, Johannesburg. Shout out to everyone that knows that area and everyone who lives there or in South Africa in general. Beautiful place. But I was there, and honestly, I would go from my hotel to the beautiful shopping center because it had food. It had like a normal shopping center, but it was one of the most beautiful shopping centers I've been in. And I would just go back and forth. I did that for about a day, maybe two, and I would have done that the whole holiday. I think I was there for like 10 days. But my friend, he was still working. We're all working people out here. He would come over to pick me up from the hotel after work, and then we'll have these experiences. Like one day we went to a rooftop. It was an evening rooftop party. It was a club, but it was on a rooftop. It was beautiful. I'll show you some clips. And another day we went to a zoo, but it's like with lions. Now, I went to the zoo twice. This one was it was like a reserve park, but it was more the lions they had plenty of space to roam, but it was more it wasn't as big. But the second time I went during my stay, I went to an actual reserve where it was acres of land, and yeah, it was these experiences you can't buy them. Well, maybe you can buy them, literally. But yeah, after my trip, 10 days in South Africa, I went to Soweto as well, a bike tour in Soweto. And after my trip, I just thought, man, I would have just stayed in the mall if it wasn't for my friend who is from South Africa showing me around basically his own city. And I got an experience that I feel like the average tourist wouldn't have got. Or maybe I could have got the same experience if I did research. And even no matter how much research you did, you don't speak the language. You understand? And you can't exchange research with people that's actually born and bred there. So I thought to myself, this was a great trip. I need to, go to another part of the world. But damn, who do I know from another part of the world? Like, I want to go to India. Who do I know? I want to go to Thailand, Malaysia. I feel like this service that my friend gave, and he gave it just because he's my friend, of course. So it's just a friend showing me around his own city. But I feel like this needs to be put in a service, and this needs to, like, everyone should have someone to show them around another part of the world. And that's how you really get to know the world. Mind you, we did similar things at the O2 Arena in London, where, we had a service where guests would come and they didn't know their way around, or it's the first time they came. And we had a service where we would have someone escort them around the O2, answering the questions, showing them different things, and taking them to where they needed to be to watch the show that they came for. And I just put two and two together, and I thought this needs to be packaged and put in a service. And, well, Discover the Continent as a concept was born. When I first made Discover the Continent, I called it Travel Buddy. But my good cousin, I ran the idea by him, and he was like, "Oh, it's a good idea, but the name doesn't bang. The name is a bit dull. It's a bit." So I was like, okay. Okay, good. This is like the year 2020. I was like, all right, let me go back to the drawing board and think of a name. And well, in no time, and I was checking like domains out as well, and I saw that everything Africa related, someone has already got a .com for it. But instead of Africa, because discovering all sorts I was putting, but instead of Africa, I put the continent, and I realized, with the negative stereotypes that have been fed to people in the West, Africa has a stigma to it. Once you say that name, people have an image that comes to their head. But if you say the continent, it gives it a fresh, it's like marketing to it. It gives it a fresh feel, a fresh look. So of course, the name Discover the Continent was born, and that's what happened there. But also around that same time of 2020, what was happening in my life was I grew up without a father. My parents were married, got divorced. I was the last born, so I really didn't have. I had little to no time with my father, apart from other than my siblings. And it wasn't, I think the oldest at the time was 6 or 7 years old. I don't even think I was 1 year old. So, but, having grown up, I got back in contact with him, and we recently had reunited. To cut a long story short, maybe I'll get into that story another time, but to cut a long story short, he, the basically the day I was going to meet up with him physically, because we had spoken on the phone and spoken through messages, but the day I was going to meet up with him, he had a cardiac arrest, and he went into a coma. I'm just fast forwarding the story. He went into a coma. Doctors said he would be in a vegetable state for the remaining of his life, etc., etc. But he beat those odds. He came out of the coma. Doctor said, all right, he won't speak or walk again. But, he spoke again. He was even reading newspapers, and then he was in the stage of, because he lost a lot of muscle mass in his legs, because he was bedbound for a couple of months. So he was learning how to walk again, going through that physical exercise, going through that physical, basically just getting his memory up again in terms of how to walk and all sorts. But he was recovering. In 2020, though, he sadly passed away, and that hit me like a ton of bricks, because I really didn't get time to spend with him. But for me, I had to turn my sorrow into. I knew that one thing I knew is you've got to. Kanye West taught me this, by the way, through his music, his early music. You've got to use your steam for your self-esteem. You understand? You've got to use it's energy. Anger is energy. Sorrow is energy. To grieve, it's just all those things. It's a feeling. It's an emotion, and this energy. You want to use that energy for something. And I thought to myself, I'm going to use this energy to never be afraid. Whatever I want to do in life, I'm going to go and do it. And I just have no fear. The reason I have no fear is because, well, I'm angry, I feel like I got robbed of, getting to know my father as such. And so I had the energy in me, but I put that energy consciously into driving, using it as a steam to drive my dreams as such. Yeah, now I'm rhyming. But yeah, I just had to do something with it, and I put it into having no fear because I was so angry. I had no fear. When you're angry, you have no fear anyway. But I put it into, all right, what are my dreams? What do I want to do? Let's do it. No ifs, no buts. Let's just do it. Because I have no fear. So I used that energy on purpose. And so with those three things, those are two things. The South Africa thing, my father. The last thing as well was around 2020. Unless you were born 5 years ago, everyone remembers 2020. And you remember all around the world, you had the whole, I think someone died in America from police brutality, and people were marching all over the world and protesting, and it was like a racial police brutality in America, and so even in London there was marches going on, and it made me want to, because I don't know, there's something in me that I like to affect things. So I don't like to just be a stand. I don't like to just stand by and think, oh, that's the way the world is. I like to affect things. So I thought, why is this happening? I need to know the real reason. Like, sure, we know, yeah, the police are, but what's the real reason? What's the beginning of the storyline? I feel like we just get the end of the storyline. So I did my research on Black people in America. And of course, that takes me back to Africa. Then it brought up a whole different question. Well, what is the history of Africa? What is it? What happened? And so I did research. 2020 we had a lot of time, so I did my research on the history of Africa, and whoa, and through that knowledge, I thought to myself, okay, so after a few months, I got that knowledge. I basically knew, what happened, and different things happen in different areas in Africa back then. And so I thought to myself, okay, cool. So now I've got that knowledge. How do I make a change? Like, how do I know I'm just one person, but how do I make a change? And I knew that, everyone in Africa understands sometimes the government that we have can do better. And so I thought, okay, so we can't just rely on the government. What can we do as a community, as people coming together? What can we do? And I knew that the key to change, this is just my opinion, but I feel strongly about it. The key to change is economics. It's hard to make a change if you don't have the economics to back you. So I knew that, okay, we need money to make changes, whether it's changes to your local area, we need to fix the road, put up some buildings. Economics. You need economics, because that's what equals power in this world. Money and people equals power. And I thought, okay, what's a good way to get money? Because if I was to make changes, I would need the money, and at least I know myself that I would do right by people. And so I thought a great way for people to make money is to have a business. But we can't do it by ourselves, because if you're just in that country, let's talk about Nigeria. If you're just in Nigeria, you can make some money by having your own business. But sure, you can have your own business, but for me, what can I do? So I thought, man, a great way to make money is through tourism. And of course, I had remembered my idea from South Africa. And I thought, well, if we can get people to come to, obviously, the easiest country I know is Nigeria, because I'm from there and I grew up there a little bit. So if we can get people to Lagos, because that's where I grew up, Lagos, Nigeria, lived in Surulere. If we can get people there, well, I've been to Jamaica. I've been on holidays before, so I know what a beautiful, typical holiday consists of. And I thought to myself, all right, if we can get people to spend money, come for an experience, because they want to spend their money, especially growing up in the West. Everyone goes on holiday typically every year. It's a norm. It's a common thing. So if we can get people to spend their holiday money in Lagos, then we'll have a budget, like we'll have some economics coming in. The more people we get, the bigger money we have. and we can use that money to now impact communities without relying on anything government related. We could just get people to come to an area, because that's what I saw in South Africa as well when I was going around Soweto. It was an independent business a guy had, but it was bringing money into Soweto. So I thought of that on a larger scale. Let's bring Lagos has a lot of money, a lot of money, but that's not the concept here. The concept is, what do we do with the money to make positive changes for people? So if I could get enough people to come to Lagos, I can help individual areas. Once you build up an area, and a lot of areas are built up, don't get me wrong, and they're beautiful. A lot of places are even more beautiful than London, don't get me wrong. But if I could select an area, do it up myself to how I want it to be, employ people, income comes into that area, I could copy that with another area, another area, another area. Over time, you're controlling, because you control the economy of that area, you control the area basically. And I thought that's a way to make positive changes. So instead of blaming people or relying on people for this or that, the power can be back in your hands as long as you have the economics coming in. Sorry for the politics, but so yeah, that's literally, that was my thought pattern. And so with those three things, South Africa, my father, and protests going on around the world, I thought to myself, well, I think I'm onto something here, and let's make this company and let's see what we can do with it. And that's literally how Discover the Continent was born. And to what you see today, it took me some years for the website, it took me some years to go over to Lagos and look at everything, speak to businesses, see what experiences we can put together, see how it works. But that's exactly what you've got today, discoverthecontinent.com, and the service of Discover the Continent. And to those of you who, which is fine if you don't know what Discover the Continent is, it's basically a service, as I explained slightly earlier, but it's a service where it's like a friend showing you around their city, and you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about transport. All you've got to do is book your flight ticket to Lagos, and and of course this is all done. This is all planned, and you have a whole itinerary before you even come. But it's a thing of, once you land, your transport will be sorted out, because we have a like a MVP. What's it called? People, multiple. There's a technical word for it, but it's basically we have a small minibus. It's like a luxury minibus. Think of like a Mercedes Viano. Those cars. But we've got a Hyundai. There's the same car but different makes. Hyundai, Mercedes. We've got a Hyundai version. So yeah, that's the concept of the transport is sorted. Your experience would have been sorted out. Where to eat, we'll recommend places for you. But the idea is that you as a tourist, because I had an experience in Morocco where I booked a tour with strangers, right? That's a typical tour. But for me, it's like, why am I with these strangers? It's just, I would like something more personalized, and it was very rigid. It's like, oh, what's this place over here? But no, you can't go over there because you're with the tour. You understand? Or no, this is what we've got for you. This is what we're going here and there. It's very rigid. A typical tour is very rigid, and I didn't want Discover the Continent to be like that. So it's a thing where you're not with a bunch of strangers. It's a personalized service where you have your own vehicle. We have a chauffeur for you, and we have a personal host, all professionals. So the person who is your friend as such, the person who's hosting you is a professional. And just like we do at the O2 Arena, we would, take you around, and we call it at the O2 Arena, we'll give you an escort. And just like that, in Lagos, we'll escort you around, but, let's just use the word, we'll host you around. And you can be in Lagos for 5 days, and you could choose something to do every single day of the week, or you can choose something to do just 3 days and have 2 days to just rest and chill at home. It's whatever you want to do, but the power is with yourself. The power is you guys decide exactly what you do, and that's what Discover the Continent is all about. It gives the power back to the guest, and it gives you back the choice. So your personal money, if you like that souvenir, or you want to get that street food or whatever, you can do whatever you like because you are the guest. We are there to, you know, like protect you in a sense of not that you need protection. Lagos is like any other big city, like New York, like London, like Rome. But you need someone to explain the culture to you. When you're bartering with prices, haggling with prices, you need someone that understands what the price should be. You know, the customs and everything of the place. You need someone to explain these things because that's part of the experience. You need to feel comfortable, and feeling comfortable oftentimes oftentimes comes with someone that knows what they're doing, and that's how you feel comfortable. It's not for you. You're the guest. It's your holiday. It's not for you to do research, tons of research. Oh, yeah, at 2 p.m. we have to. Oh, we have to. That's not a holiday. You're working. We want you to have a holiday, so we have a host, and that's the concept. We take you around, and that's exactly what a concept is. Yeah, so that's exactly what I've explained today. Who I am, what Discover the Continent is, how Discover the Continent came about. And this is episode 1. We're going to continue to do this. We will have different episodes, and we'll be dropping it. Just make sure you subscribe to the Discover the Continent YouTube. We are on all social media, but definitely the key is to subscribe to YouTube. Whether you're on TikTok, we're there. Whether you're on Instagram, we're there. And subscribe, and you will follow our journey as we're discovering places, and we're discovering them together. You understand? And you're fully involved until you come and experience the real thing. Even when you have experienced the real thing, it's for, you got to carry on that journey, carry on that community. Now, a disclaimer, I don't want you to think that, Discover the Continent is, I don't want you to think that you're excluded from anything. Discover the Continent is for everyone, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're Asian, it's for everyone. There's different reasons why people would want to come to experience Africa. One of the reasons is maybe you're from Africa, by heritage, and maybe you've never been there before. So you've got a closer, more intimate connection to the place of wanting, for your reason for wanting to discover the place. Maybe you've been to Africa before. Maybe you were born there, then you came over to the West. Um, you know, maybe that it's been such a long time. You've only been there with your parents. So we call that diaspora. When you're from the diaspora simply means dispersed people. So people that come from a place, but they don't live there. They live somewhere else. That's what diaspora means. So maybe you're from the diaspora and you've been to Nigeria before, but you've only been with parents or family or relatives. You need to go as an adult. Experiencing Lagos, Nigeria with parents is totally different from experiencing Lagos, Nigeria with just by yourself as an adult or with some friends. It's a bit like whatever city you're from, whether you're from Canada, the US, France, Europe, London, or England in general. Imagine just going to the city you currently live in. Imagine just going around there only with your parents, and you've never been around your own city by yourself. It's two different experiences, right? When you're with your friends and when you're with family. So that's the same with Lagos, Nigeria. So that could be you, and you're from the diaspora and you want to experience the real Lagos. That's one of the reasons why people want to come and experience Lagos. Or it's Africa. You've got so many, whether it's like animals, lions, or whatever, you've got so many things that are specific to Africa. So maybe you are a traveler, you like to travel. And by the way, who does not like to travel? No matter where you're from, who you are, who does not like to travel? And maybe you've been to Europe. And let's be honest about it, Europe is beautiful. A lot of Europe is the same though, when it comes to the cities. Of course, you've got countrysides with the mountains and beautiful places like that, but it's a very different It's a very different environment to Africa. So if you're a traveler, that's what you like to do, travel. If you haven't been to Africa, you haven't, I use this metaphor. It's like living in a house and you've only been to the bedroom and kitchen, but you've never been to the front garden, the back garden. You've never been, you've got to visit all rooms. This world is our home, literally is our home. And why wouldn't you want to experience everywhere of your own house? You just confine yourself to your bedroom, confine yourself to the kitchen, but you've never been to the living room. You've never been to the back garden. You've never been to the front garden. You've never even been to the porch. That's what it's like when you've traveled to different places in the world, but you've never traveled to Africa. And I don't mean, when I say Africa, I don't mean Morocco, although that's definitely a part of Africa, but I'm talking about sub-Sahara. So I don't mean Morocco, I don't mean Tunisia, and I don't mean Egypt. Travel to sub-Saharan Africa, and that's the real Africa. The backstory of Morocco, Egypt, and Tunisia is there were, if you look through history, there were invasions. So the people that lived there, though they might be African, they're not of the original. They were settlers. You understand? The people that have been there from the beginning of time, that place, that's sub-Saharan Africa, and that's a place that you need to visit. So that's where, whatever reason why you want to visit, you need to go there. Visit everywhere in your home. This world belongs to you, so it's your right to visit everywhere in the world. And Africa is a key component scientifically. From the Discovery Channel, Africa is the birthplace of the first human being. You understand? It's where civilization started. It's where human beings started. There's a place in South Africa called the Cradle of Humankind because it's where the oldest fossil bones were found. Oldest. There's nowhere else in the world where they've digged and they've digged so low that they find human remains. There's no other place apart from Africa. That's where the oldest humans lived. And there's so many firsts for Africa. Africa is the world. Everywhere else, they slowly discovered, even the UK. The UK was covered in ice. It was the ice age in the UK. So no one lived there. There was a time when no one lived in the UK. It didn't even exist because it was just blocks of ice. But Africa has always been. So you need to come and visit Africa, no matter who you are, no matter what walk of life you've come from, no matter what age you are, come and visit Africa. Whether you're young, middle-aged, older, mature. There's been people that I've heard some people have joint aches. As soon as they step into Africa, those aches go. They're like, you need to come. I'm so excited, and it's my passion to, like I said in the beginning, it's my passion to curate environments for people. I love to see the look on people's faces when it clicks in them, like, wow, I've missed this out all my life. I love to see that. Like, it's something that is a joy of when you can give another human joy. It's something that is, you might have it in your job, in the current job you do, you might give people joy, but this is like on another level. So I love this. I love to do this. I love to show people things that they've never seen before, things that they forgot, experiences that they'll never forget. And that's what Discover the Continent is. And that's what I dedicate myself to bring to you. And that's what I will consistently bring to you as well, whether it's through video. And don't let it just be video. You've got to experience the real thing. Okay? So that's what it is. We'll wrap this up, and I can't wait to bring you more and speak to you again through another episode of Discovering the Continent, brought to you by Discover the Continent. Please like this video, subscribe to this video, and please, I want to hear your thoughts. Comment on this video. I read every single comment. Let's have a conversation about it. Comment on this video, because that's the way that we get to show the world to Africa. All right. if where you live right now, you've got a solar panel, guess where that likely has come from? That comes from Africa, that solar panel. If you got a laptop, phone, the key ingredient for a laptop and phone has come from Africa. There's a chip, the thing that that Apple uses for their chips, any phone or laptop uses for their chip, their processing chip, it comes from Africa. There's so much to explore and there's so much to discover. So until next time, I'll see you again on Discovering the Continent, brought to you by Discover the Continent. I'll see you soon.